Ooh, hello, hello. Here we go. Hola. Okay. My name's Edwin, Mauricio Olivera, and today I can say I'm a social designer and a disruptive educator. Today I want to invite all of you to join me in breaking the rules a little bit and asking bold questions about the future. Bold questions that are a little simple, like in a world where um, we're racing towards a technological saturation, like what is that really? It's just so simple yet so hard. How do we remain human? But more than that, how do we teach and learn in a ways that we prioritize our humanity? To DSI, I started my research in the intersection of education, social inequality, and technology. So issues like um, device dependency and addiction, social isolation, and sorry, social isolation and disconnection, and also the digital divide is what drove me closer to home, closer to Bolivia. And even though I wasn't born there, Bolivia's in my heart, and everybody knows that. It's my everyday. It's a place I really love. It's where my family is, that I love. That hopefully they're watching me. Hola. So I saw a trend of a lot of funds being diverted and being focused on Latin America in terms of education technology. There's a big difference between 6 billion and 25 billion in 10 years. There's definitely something going on. So a focus on what's going on within education technology as an industry was very much worth my time. So for this, the design research involved talks. I gave 2 talks regarding arts and technology as a topic to see what they were more like hybrid online meeting sessions, but there were surveys to learn the attitudes the students were having towards emerging technologies and creative industries. Also, I lawfully tunneled 2 large language models, like the latest ones, to get to see what they were interested in, how they were interacting with AI specifically, and also some demos and guides to get to know whether they're using more mobile devices over desktop devices. I think we know that they use more mobile devices. And I just quickly wanted to mention that this has definitely been a journey where Roy and Monica, the 2 students that represent a lot of, out of the 200 students out of that signed up, the 73 that actually showed up, and the WhatsApp groups, they represent the spirit of why I'm doing this, why I feel like there's a chance to change our future with education. So I want to present to you Artecno. Artecno is it's an after-school program. It's a STEAM-based after-school program that teaches capabilities to critically engage and use AI carefully while learning marketable skills in tech and creative industry to gain better opportunities in countries like Bolivia and beyond. Mouthful, sorry. So how did I start this teaching experience? I started teaching college during the pandemic. So the classroom, my first classroom was an online classroom. And I was very careful in terms of making that space one that wasn't boring, one that was very engaging, one that was not reflective of the tragedies that were going around them. So in that process, I found myself questioning everything that comes in the classroom. And in that process, when things started getting back to normal, I realized that there were some faulty wires here and there. So there's some major learnings that play into Artecno that I wanted to share that hopefully make it a little innovative. So somatic and embodied learning think of it as the feeling of knowledge. It's the memory of riding a bike. In my case, I fell like 15 times. I learned when I was 15 years old, so long story short, I fell a lot of times and very hard. But you learn. And embodied learning is the act. So if I say we say like, oh, it's just like riding a bike. There's some muscle memory. But when there's the actual embodied part, I need to see all of you, like riding a bike, like you're embodied that learning. So there's a difference there. But the combination of both and why it's important in the context of technology, especially with AI, is that we have to consider AI as a disembodied technology. This disembodiment, it needs some question, it needs some critical thinking from students to question what it's being taught and what's being learned. So in that sense, that brings balance to that concept. And how else do we bring that balance? Writing, scribbling. These are some shots from some workshops I did with students that were very, very enlightening in terms of how basic they could be. I mean, they're learning technology at a level like trying to learn MCPs and like how they connect and all these other things. And it's all about using our hands sometimes. It's all about this type of learning that really brings us back to some core. So in that sense, I wanted to propose, what if we learned how to develop photographs before we learn Photoshop? What if we learned like how to tie knots or weave strings before we learn string theory? I think that gets to the second term, the second item of Artecno is peer-to-peer learning. And peer-to-peer learning is the way to say communal, right? So that's not group work. I think as a teacher, as a professor, you say group work and nobody likes group work. But that's because group work is not designed to take into account the idiosyncrasies of that group, their problems, their issues, and how they relate to a bigger community. So in this sense, that's one aspect. But the bigger one and more interesting one is actually a social one. So when we have this teaching, we teach students to become teachers at the same time. We create a sort of stepping ahead. And when it comes to the developing world, where we have deficiencies because of colonization, because of other issues in the past, we're able to not skip a generation, but catch up in a way. So that's something that's very, very important. So the process of co-creating is something that is key and is paramount in this process. And it's a way we're giving and preserving knowledge. So how do we do that? We go from the very basic of how you draw something, how you plastic with your hands, and then the techniques that come. There's the Bezier tool and the pen tool, basically, and how they become eventually systems. They become more complex and more community-based solutions. The third one is STEAM education. And STEAM education is not just like the arts. It's not creativity added to STEM. Everybody knows STEM, right? Most people know STEM. So the STEM, it is actually the need. There's a need there for creativity, to bring creative thinking and mix it with all this logical, algorithmic thinking and bring some more humanity in the process. So as I developed this program, I find it funny that I'm graduating with MFA and I'm showing scribbles and doodles. But they're important. They're really important. This is one exercise that started as an icebreaker and turned so focally into being something that people can express, that students can express a lot. They can express their anxieties, they can express their learning mishaps, and also do leverage the technology. I do know using microlearning is very important into making bite-sized experiences that connect their habits of having their cell phones in front of them all the time and using these microlearning apps or experiences to connect them to the real world. And by that I mean like apps or experiences that reward the time the device is put face down when you write or when you do something manually, or devices where you get to experience the world by moving around through its sensors. Like it makes you move, and if it makes you move, it's already a win. So Artecno is culturally centered, is embodied, and is communal. And those are related to belonging and, well, just overall like reciprocity that comes with this process. My future plans are to develop the learning units, which is very complex, and I hope to do it within community, so I'll be in Bolivia doing it. And just want to thank so many people. I want to thank DSI. I'm going to miss it every day. The DSI community, faculty, staff, and alumni, thank you so much for trusting me with the knowledge I will share with radical care wherever I go in this world. And to my thesis advisor, Sahar, Mari, our thesis professor, Mia, for you to believing in me since day one, you're the reason why I signed up to this program. Thank you. And as the oldest in my cohort, I am honored to introduce the youngest and brightest, Trinity.